Hi ladies, welcome to day 3 of my live video series all around my own book writing journey and how I managed to, take that incredible book and then leverage it in other ways. So I'm super excited for day 3. Essentially, if you haven't already watched day 1 and 2, I would definitely say go back and look at those because I'm trying to share like the really practical steps and the actual like journey that I went on to do it. So the first step was all around, really deciding on the concepts, the bigger picture vision, setting myself up for success, and considering what journey and what elements I wanted to cover in this book, getting a bit of a framework. Then what I did was actually took that framework. So I wrote the book proposal and essentially the contents page. This is what I'm intending to cover with a bit more detail. So it had more of a structure, and I gave it to people inside my community, inside my book writing club, to get their feedback. So this, because sometimes what I found, or what I find with other books or people that are writing books, is that they are the expert. They either use overly complicated language as if everybody knows what they're talking about, or they dumb it down to such a point where it's almost like there's no value. So I think you really need to read the room, and tailor your content, your style, your writing to the person that's going to be writing it. And obviously for me, that looked like I want to pitch this and make it valuable for women in business. So because I have my book writing accountability community, or book writing club community, I can actually give it to the women that are my ideal clients and say, what do you think? Does that make sense? Does that sound exciting? Does that sound like something that you would really want to learn about? If so, then I know I'm onto a winner. Does the flow and the steps, the journey make sense? Does that cover absolutely everything that you would want in a money mindset book that is going to transform your relationship with money and also give you practical, tactical, strategic steps that you can then take to go and make money in your business? Does that actually make sense? Looking at all of the sections that I'm going to cover, there had a little bit of a description underneath each, i.e. this chapter will be about da 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 da, because I really needed that feedback. Obviously, I'm a manifesting generator anyway in human design, and I really work best when I'm creating in collaboration with my audience. So that really worked for me. And I think having access to a community of people whilst you're writing really helps you to get out of your own head, keep you accountable, and all of the fun things. It's why, and also make the process fun. You also then tap into the collective mastermind. So I'm quite an old school facilitator of communities. I believe in the Think and Grow Rich approach, Napoleon Hill, where it's like there's your level of inspiration and insights and thinking, and then there's a whole nother level available to you that can be activated when you tap into the collective mind of others, and it's almost becomes like this uber inspiration and incredible creative part. It's one of the reasons why I will be delivering my own new book writing program from January, which is tailored specifically towards women who want to write a book in the next 12 months. So by the end of 2024, they want to have an Amazon bestseller, so they're happy to self-publish, and they want to really be supported on that journey. So it can be as fun as mine was. I went to LA, I went to Florida, I was writing whilst I was breastfeeding, I was doing it around the kids, I was summer in my garden. There wasn't one moment of my book writing journey where I felt like, oh my God, this is hard, because I really, again, this is what I'm going to kind of come on to, is around creating a schedule that works for you. But I really just gave myself full permission to let it be fun. And I've said on my I'm doing a sales sprint at the moment, and a boxer sales sprint, and I was chatting to the women this morning in that, I can't talk about things unless I've done them. So when I had my book writing club, it was more about support me on my journey, and I'll just share every step of the way as I'm going. This book writing program that I will be delivering with Lisa Williams, who is a fellow best-selling author on Amazon. She will also be supporting me because we're like the yin and the yang in the approaches that we took, which means that we can cater to both ends of the spectrum. If you're super strategic, highly, focused, want to have a really professional feeling, structure and all of the things, that will be, that's where you can get the value from Lisa. And if you are like a fly by the seat of your pants type person like me, very intuitively led, very creative, very fluid, very just get to the good bit, bang for your buck type person, then obviously you would resonate with my style of writing my book. And I think it is just about being in community. So if you're interested in that and making the process fun, if you are interested in that, then obviously let me know in the comments and I will send you the details, because we are launching in January and I'm so excited. So we're also going to be supporting you with your launch as a launch pod. So that's something definitely that I haven't included in my own personal journey, but I'll be talking about that a little bit more tomorrow, around how to actually then launch your book. So what I want to talk to you about today is we've obviously, like I say, got the bigger picture concept. We've got some sort of meaningful framework and book proposal. We've written the blurb. We've done all the mindset stuff. So we've got the vision board and all of the things to keep us on track. We've set ourselves up for success, i.e. surrounding, creating fun and community around that book writing process. And then today for me was all around understanding myself and the way that I work best so that I can actually write the damn thing. So what I would say is when you're looking for inspiration, or feeling ever stuck, one thing that I did was I really went back and looked over a lot of the content that I'd already created. So things like blog posts that had particularly high engagement, masterclasses that I'm always asked and seem to be like quite highly popular, social media posts that have got loads of engagement, things that have just naturally caused people to think, to have a conversation, to engage, to like really resonates with them. That was all really powerful feedback for me. Whenever I was in a moment, I was like, what am I always asked about? What am I always like, what do people always like misconceptions around this subject? What do I actually want to be known for? What do I want to speak about? What pisses me off in my other industries? I mean, it's different if you're writing like a different kind of book, but for me, where this was very much around self-help, you know, we've all got an opportunity to put our spin on whatever subject it is that we're talking about, you know. So for me, as I've said before, I identified an opportunity in writing a money mindset book specifically for women in business, because there's always seems to be a gap. And I think the fact that I have lots of different modalities and different approaches, and I believe that money mindset and your relationship with money needs to be healed in layers. I think that again just really gave me a great foundation for a book and concept. And then what I would do as I went to most, like, you know, when I went from the energetics to the mindset to the strategy, I was like, what is the thing here that I see most people go wrong with? What is the thing that most people don't talk about? What is the common misconception? What is the thing that people are always surprised to hear? And that really helped me to add not only you know, some more of like an understanding as to what people want to hear, but also it made it more interesting. You know, like I could have very clinically written my book. You know, I've got a psychology background. There's a lot of masculine language and science and neuroscience and all of the things, but that's not really going to inspire anybody to finish a book, and it's probably not going to engage them to learn the points as they go. They're definitely not going to. And I was also thinking about how do I embed the learnings as we go, so I could then essentially write a bit of a structure for my chapters. So if you look at my book, which I have not got a copy here of, which is just great, isn't it? Talking about my book, I haven't even got a copy up here because I've been moving the house around. I don't think I've got a copy to show you, but I'll bring it for tomorrow. Basically the flow and the structure is that I've got like a quote at the beginning of every chapter. I've then got like a bit of a setup that set the scene type opening paragraph. I'll always have some sort of story weaved in, because facts tell, stories sell. And then that equally brings in why I feel the way I do about money mindset is because of my own personal experiences and my own journey, and also that of my clients. So I've got a lot of stuff that I can kind of weave in that makes it different from any other mindset book that you would have read, because my story is different, my clients' stories are different. So therefore, you know, even if there are some overlapping principles, it's still my interpretation of those principles, my lived experience. So that's what I would say is like really start to weave that in to your journey. Don't be afraid to add some personality, add some like interest and some more conversational style of, you know, events and stories and things, because that's what really then sets it apart. Like I've seen some personal development books from people that are definitely written almost from a textbook, and it's like they're probably at the very beginning of their journey, are kind of regurgitating things that they already know and are just at the beginning stages, but definitely doesn't have any depth, doesn't have any personal experiences, doesn't have any personal wisdom or anything applied to it. So for me, that's what it's probably a reason why it's taken me so long to write this book. You know, I've been asked to join collaboration books from the first year I was in business because I was a woman in business, so of course. But I didn't really feel like I had enough to bring to the table in terms of like my experience, my story, absolutely. But I wanted to, again, like showcase some of the women and apply how this can then show up in your life versus my life. Like my relationship with money is very like, it's the extreme because not a lot of people have been made homeless twice in their lifetime. Not a lot of people work 3 jobs at 16. Not many people have had the harsh realities. They might, you know, so I need to find stories that are more easier to relate to other than mine. You know, mine is bit a bit extreme, as I mentioned. So it makes a great book, makes a great story, but equally it's not relatable. So for most people, thank God. So I needed to ensure that there was like that relatability, and that comes from, and also practical application, you know, because the reality is I didn't have a lot when it came up to money mindset in my business. I was happy to go out and charge for my services because I was already a business owner. So that to me was a very transactional transaction. You know, it was like, well, I'm offering service, so of course I'm going to get paid. Most heart-led entrepreneurs, when they come into the space, because they haven't had that practical experience maybe fast, it's a whole journey that was a lot further on in mine, because equally, you know, it wasn't a pocket money business, it wasn't a side hustle, I didn't have a partner to support me. It was like, girl needs to get out there and pay the rent. So I had to get over myself in a lot more of a masculine way, which isn't necessarily the journey for most women. So I, again, wanted to lean into my clients' experiences as much as mine. And then at the end of every chapter, I would have some like action steps, things that you could take away and implement, journal prompts, like implementable. That's still not a word, is it? Implementable. What is the word? Like, please let me know. Action steps that essentially my clients could take away and then do the damn thing, so that they could really embed and anchor in the learning, because that was really important to me. I don't want to just sit here and have a book for the sake of it. Like, I actually want to make a difference and want to support people in creating change in their lives. So that was something that I really needed to do. So once I had that in my mind, and it's like we started here where it was like, I'm going to write a book. And then it was like, right, okay, so we need like a concept. What is the purpose of this book? What is the intention of this book? What do I really want to talk about? So that kind of narrowed it down. And then it was like, okay, so what is the journey that I want to take people on? And then that helped me to narrow it down again with like the chapters and the framework. And then it was like, okay, so how many words am I including in each chapter? What is the structure and the flow of each chapter? And then it just narrowed it down even more. So it came from like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming and I've got so much to do and so much to think about, to, okay, I can do this. I've just got to think about this tiny thing. And that's what I would say is like, don't get too much in your own head. Don't think too much about the big picture. Just focus on the next thing, the next 1,000 words, the next chapter that you want to finish, the next little heading, paragraph that you want to do. And that really helped me to feel less overwhelmed. And equally, when I figured it out like that, I'm quite a logical thinker. So I was like, well, the reality is I could do that quite easily. If I just blocked out my diary for a few weeks, there is no reason why I couldn't write this book in a few weeks' time. And I know, like I say, my counterpart, Lisa, she did hers very differently to me. She had a very strict word count. She had like weekly targets. She had like set times every day that she did it. And it's about knowing yourself and what is going to work best for your energy. Like I say, I've got ADHD, I'm a manifesting generator, I've got a million different things, lots of different business things, business ventures and interests. So, you know, to do this as a steadily consistent thing, it just wouldn't have worked for me. I am better at like just literally giving myself that deadline, breaking it down so there's no level of resistance, and then just creating an environment for success where I could literally go in and do the thing. So that was kind of the next step. So tomorrow I'll then talk about, once I'd finished the book, what I then did with it to leverage it further. But for me, that's what I want to kind of convey today. It's all about knowing yourself and what is your best way of working, and then getting your book from this huge big picture concept down to like, okay, what do the chapters look like? How many words? Like, what are the paragraphs like? What is each chapter going to feel like and flow? so that you can really start to see actually it's very manageable, it's very easy. I could actually do that quite easily. A lot of the time women think it's like this big picture thing, I'm going to do it in 3 years, 2 years, 5 years. You could do it next week if you wanted to. Like, you're so capable. So let's not make it a bigger thing than it needs to be. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Let me know if there are any takeaways or anything you want me to lean more into tomorrow.